have a warm welcome for our pastor, Reverend Rowe.
I've already preached once today, and you've heard some wonderful sermons. Especially Reverend Maureen Taylor with one hand in a sling.
Well.
I want to talk to you about this issue that she talked about in terms of courage.
No, that's right.
Joanne, one of the problems I'm having is that those of us, and I have to admit I'm one of them, and my whole family that worked hard to evict George Bush, are now engaged in a little kind of thing called hero worship. So we put no pressure on the person we put in the White House.
You're right. You're right.
Who has an auto task force that is simply killing people.
You're right.
An auto task force that isn't driving any of the cars whose future they're determining.
You're right.
An auto task force that's deciding that it's okay to approve a plan by General Motors to build cars in Korea.
It's not okay.
And shut down 16 plants and 15,000 workers right here in their whole communities, because you know that the pizzerias and the barbershops and everything else in those communities are going to go down the tubes at the same time.
Right.
And yet we're engaged in this hero worship. Isn't it wonderful? Well, I want to tell you it wasn't enough to evict George Bush.
That's right. Go ahead.
And now I see Hanson Clark here, one of the few state senators with the courage to ask for a moratorium on foreclosures. We shouldn't have to be arguing that in the state of Michigan. The country ought to have a moratorium. The country's in a state of emergency. This president that we put in the White House needs to declare. He tells me on his 100th day that he can't get the banks to do what they ought to be doing. And yet, we won't declare a foreclosure, which is the only way, a moratorium on foreclosure, only way that the banks are going to come to the table.
That's right.
If they can't get any money, they're brain dead to start with. They're destroying these homes, they're being ripped apart, they get no money for them, and the people are still on the street. Nobody wins. This is a brain-dead economic policy. Allowing 16 factories to close, a lot of them right here in Michigan, while we, in fact, cannot even find homes for these workers. We have a person downtown right now who closed American Axle in the city of Detroit and got $8 million for doing it. We need to start talking to our friends. We have a governor who has nothing to lose. She's not running for office again, right? And she won't declare a state of emergency. We want to talk about courage, the courage of the people. How about insisting on some courage from our elected officials? How about insisting that a governor stand up? I remember a tent city, brothers and sisters, that was at Cass United Methodist Church for a long time. I remember putting people in the Jeffries Projects when we had a Jeffries Project. I remember setting up our own housing authority and screening people and putting them in the houses and getting arrested on Devil's Night because the angels were there to put people in the homes. We need to set up our own housing authority. We need to start putting people in these empty houses. If they want to arrest us, come on and arrest us. But the fact of the matter is, these empty houses can't stay empty while people are sleeping in dumpsters. We have to encourage ourselves to be in front of our legislative branch of government and our governor and our president. We've got to stop this hero worship. We've got to stop being intimidated by people who have elected in office. They are our elected officials. We need more people like Joanne Watson who will speak the truth. Hero worship of a president because he's an African American is a sin. We can't ask people to simply sit in their office while we clap. Isn't it wonderful we have a black president? It'd be wonderful if that black president tomorrow says no more foreclosures until we have the banks where we need them. So we need to call out to people. Maureen talks about people being crazy on the street. If you spend 6 months on the street, you are crazy. And the fact of the matter is that if you're not a little crazy right now, you're insane. Where is the outrage? Where is the outrage? And why aren't we here with 5,000 people instead of a couple of hundred? I don't get why people have decided that there's nothing they can do. They've gone to sleep in the middle of a revolution. We need to set up our own housing authority. We need to insist that the governor declare a moratorium today. We need to insist that this African American president start declaring the same kind of moratorium around the nation. We need to insist that he fire an auto task force from Wall Street. Not one automobile person on the automobile task force. Not one car made by any of the factories they're closing down are they driving. What are we doing? We put somebody in the White House and we're not holding him accountable. We need to start standing up, stop the hero worship, and start being an activist. And then, by the way, Maureen said it once, I want to say it again. The people who are part of the mosques and synagogues, people who are part of the churches around the city, we've got to call them out. If you're going to a church or a synagogue or a mosque and your pastor and your congregation is not supporting your struggle, what in the hell are you doing there?
I know that's right.
You're putting dollars in a plate to support a congregation that's part of the status quo. Where, you know, the Baptist Council needs to be here. The United Methodist Church needs to be here. The Episcopalians need to be here. Our Muslim brothers and sisters need to be here.
No churches here, then Chicago and New York.
It's not enough to preach from your pulpit.
I know that's right.
We need to be in the street together. Their scriptures mandate that they get out of their upper rooms and into the street. And they're in violation not just of our own little moral code for social justice, they're in violation of their own faith. So let's call them out.
Go ahead, Pastor.
Blessings on you, my brothers and sisters. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on you. Melt you and mold you and fill you and use you. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on you. No justice. No justice. No justice. Let's stop the hero worship and start insisting people are responsible for the people on the street. Amen.